So in a previous guide I posted here on the channel, I promised you guys I would be dropping a video on how to find and defeat all of the Valkyries in the Cataclysm event map. For those who didn't know this, there are 7 very powerful named Valkyries that only spawn when certain conditions are being met. There are a few reasons for why you'll want to get these to spawn and defeat in the first place. On one hand, because outside of completing the main event, defeating Valkyries provides the second most amount of score points in the entire map. This means you'll want to add at least a few of these in your main route if you want to get the maximum amount of score possible. And on the other hand, of course, because they also count towards a few challenge tracks that reward some very awesome vanity items. One such challenge is called the Vanquisher, and this one rewards the Rep Divine Strike for all of your 4 javelins, as well as a few hundred minor crystals on top. I would also argue that having some of the Valkyries to spawn will make a few of these events also faster without losing your score points, and saving even a few extra seconds, let alone minutes, is definitely going to help you out with reaching those high scores. So if you enjoyed this, then don't forget to leave a like on this video and let's get to it. Coming up first, we have Valkyrie Magnus, and she can be found in the first event arena of the same name. In fact, most if not all of the events bear the name of their respective Valkyries. To get her to spawn, it's fairly easy. All you need to do is to activate all of the 7 control rods surrounding the crystal in less than 1 minute from the start of the event. What this means is that as soon as you spawn in the Cataclysm map, you'll need to travel to the first arena ASAP, go straight into activating each rod one by one, which might be a bit hard if you do it solo, as you will need to dodge all of the huge waves of enemies incoming, but otherwise it's really simple. And once you've done so and the crystal is exposed, quickly destroy it to free the arena itself. The best way to judge if you have done this fast enough is to check the timer. Generally speaking, if you have done this before the 14-minute mark, give or take a few seconds, this will guarantee you that the Valkyrie will spawn. Once that happens, she will spawn on the side of the main platform, and it's easy to spot her as all of the Valkyries have distinct target icons over their head. So proceed to attack her, but be cautious because these enemies are much tougher even compared to legendary enemies. They are really hard to take down and they also do continuous damage. That is why I suggest keeping up your ultimate exactly for this situation. Also, none of the Valkyries appear to drop any loot, at least not at the time of making this footage, so keep that in mind as well. Moving on, we have the second Valkyrie, which is Britta, and she can be found in the Brittaheim event. This is the second event next to the north side of your initial spawn point. Her spawn mechanic is fairly easy, but also easy to miss if you're not paying attention. To get her to appear, you can only do this after you have already freed all of the 5 echoes from the area and have placed them into the 5 devices that control the main crystal door. But don't destroy the crystal yet, don't do that. Instead, after placing the 5th and final echo in its device, take it out of the device momentarily and then place it back again. What this does is that it will cause the Valkyrie to appear close to the bridge area. She only uses electric damage from what I was able to gather, so not that difficult to deal with anyway. Again, pop the ultimate for a faster defeat, and only once she has been dealt with, go ahead and proceed to finish off the event itself by destroying the crystal in the middle. It's very important to take care of the Valkyrie before destroying the crystal, otherwise if you do it afterwards, destroying the crystal will make all of the echoes to completely disappear and you won't be able to make her spawn anymore in the current session. The next and third Valkyrie is Cassia near the Cassius Forge event. This is the event with the relic that needs to be silenced and the 4 fragments behind the 2 doorways. To get the Valkyrie to spawn, you will need to pass with each of the 4 relic fragments behind the 2 doors through the instability fields that they each have. If you're in a party of 4, this is as easy as it gets. All you need to do in this case is to have all 4 party members grab 1 fragment each and then proceed to pass with them through the instability fields that also resets them back. If you don't have a full party of 4, or if you're attempting this solo, then you can still do the event by following the same logic, as in taking each relic one by one and passing with it once through the instability field that they have. Since there doesn't appear to be a timer over here, you can pretty much do it alone and take your time, but don't wait for too long. Once that is done, Valkyrie Cassia will spawn near the crystal, so go ahead and attack her. She also uses fire attacks, so try to deal with her quickly, otherwise she will overwhelm you. And once that is done, you can resume finishing off the main event by destroying the crystal in the middle. The fourth Valkyrie is Calric, and she spawns in the castle event with the same name. Her spawn mechanic can be a bit tricky, but not impossible even if you're playing alone. To spawn her, you will need to make sure you have 3 relics available first. This means at least one of the doors needs to be activated first before proceeding, as only the first 2 relics are going to be available to you once you reach the event. Once you've gotten the 3rd one, proceed to the top of the tower in the middle, and this is basically the same tower that holds the crystal you need to destroy. From there, pay close attention to the castle walls in front of you, as these will display 3 symbols. It's these 3 symbols you will need to match down on the ground with the 3 relics you have available. So take note of them and proceed to match the relics with the required symbol holders, and once you've correctly placed them, this will cause the Valkyrie to spawn near the entrance you most probably came from in the first place. So defeat her quickly and then resume the event itself. I believe you can also get her to spawn after the event is finished, but I never tested this one out properly. I prefer dealing with her first. Also, you cannot fly when holding the relics, so this means that you have to remember all of the 3 symbols on the walls or alternate between picking the relics up and going back to check the walls, but otherwise it's a pretty simple event to complete. The 5th Valkyrie can be found in Diana's Landing, and she's super easy to spawn, just like how her event is super easy to complete. What you need to do here is to defeat all of the enemy waves up until the Riftmaster shows up. As usual, go ahead and defeat him too, so that he will drop the keys needed to finish the event, but don't yet activate the marked terminals. If you do that, you'll pretty much lose the chance to spawn the Valkyrie in this session. Instead, what you want to do is to go ahead to the left side of the crystal towards the exit that leads to the main road. There you will see a platform right on top of the main entrance. Behind the wall, on top of the platform, there's going to be a secret terminal that can only be activated once using the key that you just dropped. This is why I said to keep it up until this point and not go to the first 2 terminals. Activating the terminal will cause the Valkyrie Diana to spawn. Again, this one uses fire attacks, so pop a quick ultimate on her head, and once she's dealt with, you can go ahead and resume completing the main event and moving on to the next one. Valkyrie Takaro is the 6th on the list, and she spawns in the area with the same name to the left of Vera's room. You can only get her to spawn after completing the main event over there by destroying the crystal. So make sure you do that first before proceeding, and once that is over, the echoes you used to expose the crystal in the first place will get transported back into their respective devices. So what you need to do from here is to grab them once more, which should be much faster now with the flight not being restricted anymore, and once you've taken all 3 of them, go ahead, place them into the platform that just spawned on the side of the arena next to the waterfall tunnel, or back at the top of the waterfall tunnel you initially used. Both of these work really, but the faster one is obviously the platform that just spawned on the outside. Placing the echoes over there will immediately cause the Valkyrie to spawn near the water source, so you will have to deal with her fast, and from here on you will have to move on to the one remaining Valkyrie, which is the next one on the list. This brings us to the 7th and the final Valkyrie, called Astrid, that can be found in the event on the top right corner of the map, left of Vera's room. The encounter with her isn't the hard part here. The hard part is to complete the event in the first place, especially if you do it solo. So that is why I suggest attempting this with at least another player in your party. To get her to spawn, you first need to activate the entire mechanism with the 4 pressure plates to turn on the main beam that lets you finish off the event. Only once that is done, this will activate a secret terminal on the left side of the main platform behind a pillar. To find it, you need to go past the initial terminal that you used to activate the crystal barrier, and you will find it slightly to the left behind one of the smaller pillars near to the main area, as I was saying. You can choose to activate this either before or after destroying the crystal in the middle. It doesn't really matter how you proceed, as the only requirement here is to have the main mechanism activated in the first place and nothing more. But doing so will cause Astrid to spawn, and despite being the final Valkyrie, she doesn't appear to hold any special powers. So what I proceeded to do over here is to burn my ultimate in her face, and with that I was pretty much finished with the entire challenge. If you have done all of that correctly, you should be rewarded the wrap itself as well as the crystals, and still have enough time to take on Vera if you want to. Otherwise, you are not 100% required to deal with all of the Valkyries in the same expedition, and can take multiple of these if necessary. On a closing note, I wish the Valkyries had a bit more to them than just a ton more HP. They seem to behave exactly as any other enemy storms out there. They are just a lot more tankier, so maybe add a few extra abilities on top, maybe change the auto attack spam to something else, something more menacing. At least at the time of making this video, they didn't seem to have anything special to them. Hopefully that will change soon enough. But with that being said and done, I believe we have covered everything that needed to be covered in today's video. As always, if you enjoyed it, a thumbs up would be super appreciated. Also subscribe for more and activate that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time, so peace out.